before po sila mag-commit ng lending to us. There are the social and environmental requirements, for example. Kaya po itong prosesong to, kaya po very meticulous kami with all of our consultations, with all of our public engagements, is because our lenders do not just look at our capability to pay, they also look at how we implement projects. So, very important point po, balik tayo dun sa drawing. Very important point po to note on this drawing is, people would think that the subway is our biggest project. It's not. The subway is 350 billion pesos. Our biggest project is what we call po yung Engr Clark and Engr Kalamba. Ito ayaw ko sa TV, hindi ka makagamit ng pointer. Pwede ba?
Laki na ito yan pag mula ko.
Wala. Hindi. TV kasi. Okay. Our biggest project, this is relevant po for us today. Now I go into what's relevant to us today. Our biggest project po is not the subway. Our biggest project is Engr Clark and Engr Kalamba. Yun po yung green line sa taas, all the way po to yung blue line sa baba. Just to give you a background, nung natatnan po namin ng Engr Clark and Kalamba, the scheduling was Phase 1, 38 kilometers to Tuban, Malolos from 2014 to 2022. We will extend to Clark in 2025 and we will extend down to Kalamba in 2030. Saan din namin? Hindi ko ba nakita yung sitwasyon ngayon? Bakit po kailangan i-atras yung mga proyekto na alam na natin gagawin natin? So, what did we do? We integrated po the entire system. So, the 38 kilometers from Tutuban to Malolos, plus 53 kilometers all the way to Clark Airport, plus 56 kilometers all the way to Kalamba in a single integrated system. This is a total po of 148 kilometers, 37 stations with a fleet of 500 train cars. Ito po yung sinasabi kong largest project namin and also the largest ever ADB project in their history. And again, ang reason po dyan, if you notice, 3 regions. Region 3, Central Luzon, National Capital Region, NCR, Metro Manila, and of course, Region 4A, Calabarzon, spanning 22 local governments. The objective because of the pipeline is not just to improve mobility within Metro Manila. You've probably heard of this before. We're trying to disperse people. We're trying to decongest by making more centers of development, at least dun po muna sa katabi natin. And this is one of the major components of that plan. The second major component po is the subway. You will see po, the subway, the red line, sa pinakababa, sa kanan. MRT3 po yung blue na parallel if you would notice. You would notice po the subway, meron po siyang parang fork dun sa baba. Meron pong pakanan at meron pong pakaliwa. Yung pakaliwa po, that is going to the airport. Just to give you some history, nung natatang po namin yung subway project, wala po siyang extension sa airport. Umura po isa namin upsets. So we expanded po the subway, we added po yung spur pakaliwa so that it adds 3 stations. Terminal 3 station, Terminal 1, 2, nasa gitna, station, and of course a station beside the Paranaque Intermodal Exchange in Paranaque. So you might have heard po, we have a bus terminal, we have an intermodal bus terminal in Paranaque. Unfortunately po, nauna yung bus terminal, bumahabol po yung mga rail stations, but that is the plan. And I go po to what's relevant to us today. Napansin niyo po, bababa siya. Kukonect po siya sa Engr Kalamba. Now, there was a point of time when we said, sige, pababain na lang natin yung mga tao sa dulo ng subway, then palipatin po natin sila to another train if they want to go to Kalamba or if they want to go to Clark. We said, why? Why don't we make it interoperable? And we did. So that's why the current direction po for the subway is to be an interoperable system with the entire PNR Clark and PNR Kalamba. What does that mean? That means po that you can ride a subway train all the way from Quezon City and get off in Calamba without standing up. That is the design of the two largest projects po on this line. I will not go into the details of the other projects, but it's very important po to see the bigger picture, because the bigger picture somehow goes into the current design po of the FTI station, which we zoom into for today. So that's it. So let's go back. So I guess next pala. So that's the picture. That's the picture in numbers. Next slide. Next slide. This is a fully financed pipeline. Next slide. And the last part po that I wanted to show you was, sige, next slide muna kasi atras tayo. Ay, back. Yan. Our contract packages po, meaning, syempre, a project does not build itself. We need contractors to build a project. And we classify our contracts po into four. Consultancy contracts, civil works contracts, electromechanical contracts, and rolling stock. Electromechanical, yan po yung relays, yan po yung power sa taas, yan po yung signaling, and so on and so forth. The entire pipeline po has 5 consultancy contracts, 21 civil works contracts, 5 electromechanical, and 5 rolling stock. There's a total of around 50 contracts. We're now at 30. So relevant to us, go back. Relevant to us po, first po would be the subway. You must have heard po that we have started with the subway. Yes, we have. We started po February of 2019 for what we call the partial operability section. The first 7 kilometers, dun pa po yun sa north. It's a design-build contract. Detailed engineering designs are being done by our contractor from February to October, and we are going to start demolishing po by November. Ang relevant po sa atin dito sa subway would be CP 105, contract package 105. And if you notice po, in this summary kasi, all of the slides, all of the items that already have names mean that we've awarded the contract. The others po show our publication date and our contract signing date. So for most of them, we are live. So for example po, last week Tuesday, we had the bid submission for contract package North 1, North 2, North 3. So we had 11 international companies participate. I don't know if you saw our release, but we were so happy with that because it's a record turnout. Kasi po, masaya kami kapag maraming sumasali, especially the really reputable ones, because it shows trust po in the process that we're doing. Kasi otherwise, I have a trivia. Do you know how much po na mag-prepare ng bid? Kung gusto mo sumali sa bidding for a large-scale infra project, average 100 million. Easy. Why will you spend 100 million preparing a bid if you think that the process is compromised? That's why we're very proud of the turnout last week. So, relevant for us is CP105 because the FTI station is part of CP contract package 105. As you would note here po, we are currently, I say currently because we are revisiting some designs and some assumptions based on your feedback. As you note po, we are currently, we are previously scheduled to start procurement March 2020, award po by Feb 2021, start construction 2021, complete 2025. 5 years po kasi ang construction typically for someone. So that's number one. Next. The other relevant contract package po is CPS03. Kasi remember po, we are achieving interoperability between PNR Calamba and the subway. Meaning, the trains or the lines that will stop at FTI station will not just be the subway, it will also be the PNR north-south commuter trains. Currently po, CPS03 is scheduled for publication in April 2020. If you would notice po, siya lang yung late sa kanilang lahat. CPS01, published na po nung May, bid submission po kami yan October. CPS02, 04, 05, 06, 07, we are on track to publishing that in November. Pero mapapansin niyo po, CPS03, as it is already scheduled for publication in April 2020. And that's really because the segment from Nichols to C5 to FTI to Bicutan. Nichols Station, Nichols Station, FTI Station, Bicutan Station is one of our most challenging segment. In pag-usapan natin today. And that's it. So, I guess let's, parang hindi na siya opening remarks. Sorry, naisip ko lang po kasi siya right before starting today that instead of going straight into the into the project and site-specific issue po for today, I wanted to share po for the appreciation of all what we are trying to do and how this specific issue that we are going to discuss today will affect the bigger picture. So maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, USec Batan, for sharing with us the projects of DOTr. Yes, please.
Aalis na po kasi si USec, pwede magtanong sa kanya.
Actually, sir, sige mag-Q&A na tayo kasi kailangan kong umalis.
Oo nga po.
Yes, sir.
USec, good morning po.
Name po and...
USec, good morning po. My name is Atty, one of the homeowners of United Hills Village or UPS2 po. I believe you're also an Atenean, Atenean. Me as well. I graduated my MBA from Atenean. I was former alumni president in 2015. Sir, first, congratulations to the government and your team, for really working hard to ensure that, we help the Philippines and Metro Manila specifically in terms of progressing and moving our metropolis, our country to new and exciting heights. That said, we believe that this strategy, interoperability is really stellar. It's really very good. So congratulations. That said, we believe that, just like we said earlier, we're considering several factors, right? Not only the economical factor, logistics, we also look at the social factor as well. Specific to our concern for our village, we believe that the original project was intended to stop at FTI. And now we're concerned because United Hills Village and also the areas beside it, Malugay and also UPS2, will be affected because our area will be is needed for a construction yard. We believe that for the same reason that you poured in a lot of investment for this project, as you mentioned, an average of 100 million just to put up a bid, right? And with all the great engineers and architects of JICA and all the other project engineers with global experience and expertise, we believe that this is not the first time that you folks will be encountering this scenario wherein several houses, several taxpayers through the years. And one of the oldest subdivisions outside usually outside of Metro Manila will be affected. So I'd like to hear your comments on that. How are you ensuring that all other options have been taken into consideration by all these great minds, all these great architects and engineers, that these homeowners, these taxpayers for several years, who are one with you in terms of development, will not be affected?
Thank you po, sir. Ganito po, sir. First of all, we don't develop projects with we don't care who gets it mentality. I mean, please, we don't. On the one hand. On the other hand po, it is just really unfortunate that because we have a canvas, yung tinatrabaho po kasi natin ngayon is already too built up. What does that mean? Kung sana po naisip siya. Kung sana po nagawa. Kasi alam niyo po kung kailan yung unang version ng subway network natin? 1977. So kung sana po naisip at nagawa itong mga proyektong ito when the city was not when Metro Manila was not as built up as today, then we could have maybe even avoided or we could have even further minimized yung intrusion po natin into the existing structures across Metro Manila. But that having been said, it's not one or the other. That's the extreme. On the one hand, we have no choice. Meron at meron po tayong matatamaan just because yan na po sinadat na namin eh. Wala na po talaga. And on the other hand, I think po what si Sir Patrick was mentioning is, sa totoo lang po, when you see I sit po in all design meetings, we exert a lot of effort po to make sure that we explore options that will minimize the extent that we affect po the affected stakeholders. Actually, ang tawag mo namin dyan, everything, it comes in different terms. We do value engineering, we do cost-benefit analysis, we do optioneering, but the long and short of it po is we try to explore options to minimize our impact, not just to persons affected, structures affected, but also to the environment. Again, I mentioned this po kanina, one consequence of us being an ODA funded pipeline is, again, when you're just borrowing from a bank, the bank usually they just think about your ability to pay. But when you're borrowing po from a development lender, from the multilaterals, the bilateral development lender, everyone from JICA to the Asian Development Bank, they are very mindful po of our assurances to make sure that we comply with their social and environmental safeguards. Now, the social safeguards, they also do not say do not touch anyone. So there is a process po to that. And so long as we can demonstrate po that we went through that process reasonably and in good faith, then that will comply po with the requirements. Now, siguro po I will go straight into, anyway, I was talking to the secretary actually right before this meeting. And because just like last night, we had the design coordination. Again, I have to leave. I'm sorry po because I have to leave siguro po a little before 10 o'clock. But I'll go straight into it. Okay. Balik tayo sa map. Can we go? Hindi. Sa map. Meron ka dito slide showing the FTI station. Punta ka doon. Na-mention ni Sir Patrick that the original, actually po, the original phase 1, if you would notice the title po of this project, it's called the Metro Manila Subway Project Phase 1. Why? If you look at our 2014 transport roadmap, thankfully po, noong 2014, gumawa po tayo ng, we call it the Roadmap for Transportation Infrastructure in the Greater Capital Region. Kung narinig niyo po yung JICA Dream Plan before, I don't like calling it the JICA Dream Plan because it's not JICA dreaming for us. It has to be us dreaming for us. So I don't like calling it the JICA Dream Plan, but it was the JICA Dream Plan. So noong 2014 po, we had this transport roadmap. The transport roadmap identified, not just in rail po, identified the needed infrastructure investments in transport for the entire Greater Capital Region. I say Greater Capital Region, again po for the information of all, when we do our planning in the 90s, we refer to Metro Manila as the capital. 16 cities and 1 municipality, 17. In the 2000s, you might have heard of Mega Manila. It's not a marketing term po, it's a planning term. We plan based on Metro Manila plus BRLC. That's Bulacan, Rizal, Laguna, and Cavite. But as of this decade, we have further shifted our paradigm and we are now planning for the entire Greater Capital Region, which if you look at the size, is roughly equivalent to the Tokyo metropolitan area. It's a good enough size for planning. So in 2014, as early as 2014, we already said, we need a subway. Why do we need a subway? Now you have to go back to my map. Why do we need a subway? It's all good plans take into consideration geography and topography. All good urban plans take that into consideration. And if you would look at Metro Manila po, notice it. Metro Manila has two geographic constraints. Sa kaliwa po natin, we have Manila Bay. Right? Sa kanan po natin, we have Laguna de Bay, and we have the mountain ranges of Antipolo. What does that mean po? That means that as we grow, inevitably, hindi naman tayo pwede mag-grow into Manila Bay. Hindi naman tayo pwede mag-grow into Laguna Bay. Well, pwede at disastrous environmental consequences. Well, we kind of can build on the mountain ranges, but it's very difficult. So, ang tendency po is north-south. That's why the development paradigm for Metro Manila, for GCR, is to develop north-south. And what we are doing po in rail is we're developing 3 north-south mass transport corridors. Corridor, I call it the corridor to the left, the corridor to the right, and the corridor in the middle. Okay. Notice it po. Corridor to the line is to the left. Corridor to the left, the western backbone is LRT 1. Yun po yung yellow. Yellow starting from Monumento. Actually, kumanan po siya para dumikit sa MRT 3. But practically, it starts in Monumento. It goes all the way down, initially po to Bacoor. Ito yung inumpisahan namin ng linggo. I don't know if you saw our press release po yesterday. We started piling works finally for LRT 1 Cavite extension. Alam niyo po when this got investment approval? Footnote lang, August of 2000. I did not miss a number. LRT 1 Cavite extension got investment approval in August of the year 2000, i.e. 1999 plus 1. Finally, that's on track. Currently po, we are working, ito po kasi only the investment approved projects, as I mentioned earlier. May investment approval. Currently po, we're already working on bringing the yellow line further down to the Dasmariñas, into Cavite, and there are suggestions to bring it all the way to Tagaytay. So just to give you an idea, that's the entire left side north-south corridor. Middle po, sa taas po, of course, PNR Clark. We have this asset po kasi that we maximize, which is the right-of-way of PNR. What does that mean? May lupa na po kami, which is PNR, and we just try to maximize it. So that's why we're using that. Kung makikita niyo po yung green sa taas, so kaliwa siya. Pero pagpasok po sa Metro Manila, siya po yung parang blue, nakikita niyo. All the way down, magiging kanan siya. So PNR, Calamba and Clark, is going to be the central north-south rail corridor. Now, nung nag-iisip po kami, paano naman yung kanan? Ang problema po kasi with the way that the city, hindi naman problema, but the design assumption po kasi for the city was radial. I don't know if you heard about that. Diba meron po tayong C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. Then meron tayong R1 to R10. Because of that fan, para po siyang fan eh. Buksan niyo po yung pamaypay. Buksan niyo po yung pamaypay. Wala siya dito. But the design of our city is, ang north-south po natin is R1, R10 lang. Rojas Boulevard is R1 all the way to R10 sa taas. Yung taas po, R2 na yan, SLEX, R3. So pag pumunta ka po dun sa kanan, there is no north-south road. What does it mean na walang north-south road? Kung gusto po namin magtayo ng riles na north-sought dun sa kanan, may baka may choice. Kailangan namin pumunta sa ilalim. That's why this became a subway. Now, I'll go into Sir Patrick's question po kanina. Si Sir Patrick po is correct that phase 1 of the subway is really intended to end in FTI. Again, because phase 2, so phase 1 is 36 kilometers. Phase 2 po, para po yung exit, if you notice it. PNR Clark and Calamba starts from the upper left, it goes down to the lower right, to Calamba. Subway, you see its current end po dun sa taas, sa Quirino Highway, Mindanao Avenue Station namin. That will go further north to Bulacan. We're still deciding, we have 2 possible corridors there. So it will go all the way to the north, and it will also go all the way down to Cavite. So in Cavite po, we will have a left, middle, right also. Pero nag-X na siya. Left will be the extension of the yellow line. Middle will be the extension of the red line or the subway. And right will be PNR Calamba. So, that's correct po. The original phase 1 ended in FTI station. But there is actually just one change po that we are doing. which I mentioned po earlier, which is to make it interoperable with, nabanggit ko po kanina, which is to make it interoperable with PNR Calamba. So we need to make space, essentially, the subway is coming from under, it's going to emerge, literally, from under the ground, merge with the viaducts, merge with the line of PNR Calamba, so that, again, as I mentioned po earlier, you can ride the subway or a subway train as far away as Quezon City or eventually as far away as Bulacan. You don't get off, you don't stand up, baba niyo po sa Calamba na. Swimming na po tayo. I don't know, unfortunately we had that incident in Pansol, but I mean, you get what I'm trying to get. So, that's number one. I think po one other consideration, one major consideration, I think you're familiar po with the C6 SEME project. I give you a presentation. Can you show that? The SEME C6. One of our biggest, no, there's another power. One of our biggest challenges po, design challenges, is para po kaming karayong, we tried to deal with the C6 project. Kasi the C6 project po is a total of 6. You need to see it to appreciate the difficulty of the design challenge. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ramps. Nandun saan? Nasaan yung mighty? Yung IPS? Pakita mo. Hindi, may panigil yung PowerPoint. Mighty. Okay, wait lang po. Okay. Sige, there's C6. Okay, so consideration number 1 is interoperability with PNR Calamba. Okay. Consideration number 2, major. Consideration number 2 is C6. And major consideration number 3 is the Taguig intermodal exchange project. So I don't know if you've heard about it, yung tinatawag po natin, inuba kasi namin yung pangalan. Before it was called the South ITS Project, now it's called the Taguig Intermodal Exchange Project. Kung narinig niyo po yung Paranaque, yung operational po namin ng intermodal exchange in Paranaque, that's the counterpart po here. Ayan, ayan, dyan na lang. Actually, dito pala makita mo na. This is the C6 project. If you would notice po, SLEX is over there. Behind. Doon po sa likod doon. Yan pong nakikita niyong trend, that is PNR Calamba. The subway, of course we don't see it, but the design challenge po, tignan niyo po yung ilang poste nung mga off-ramps and on-ramps, ang kinailangan namin, shukan. Mahirap po siya. So, sige, I'll show you this next time. This is a nice present. This is kind of old po. Designs have progressed, but the concept remained the same. Ayan, keep it there. So, yung Taguig intermodal po natin is over there. Nakita niyo po yun doon. So, we wanted to bring the FTI station of PNR Calamba and the FTI station of the subway as close as possible to TIPX. However, because of all of the poste, dahil po dun sa napakaraming poste, kita niyo po ramp 1, ramp 2, ramp 3, and ramp 4. Because of all of those poste, we have to move the stations a little to the south. And that is where I understand po, UHV, yes. So, that is major design consideration number 2. So, I think that's the answer to the question.
USec,
Yes,
I know you need to go already, but a couple of things po. You said that because of all the mga poste po, you have to move to the south. Again, I'm not an engineer, but just looking at this really amazing map, and oh, by the way, I'd just like to congratulate you again in terms of being able to find ways to be that parang leader, to find ways, somehow I believe there are also government properties in the area that is not south of where ITS is, but I think north part of ITS. And I think if you do that, you will not hit any existing community. So those are that's one of the questions. The other one would be, as you try to go up, no, yung emerge, yung subway, how about the PNR is the one who's going down and meet yung train below? Again, I'm not an engineer. What I'm saying is, just like what I said earlier, you have all the amazing talent and engineers with global experience. This is not the most complex that they have done. I believe your engineers will find ways, to be able to, avoid this. And I know you need to go. Probably we'll set up a meeting with you at USec directly.
Good, sir. I will first answer po the horizontal alignment issue. Essentially, sir, what is anchoring us, if I may, into this location is the location of the Taguig Intermodal. Nandiyan na po kasi yung Taguig Intermodal. So we cannot go too far away from the Taguig Intermodal. Otherwise, we lose the interconnectivity situation. Aside from that po, we have explored locating north of the C6 Semet. However, sir, ang concerns po dyan is a combination of the NAIA flight path, as well as yung pinanggalingan po namin sa Nichols. Yung pinanggalingan po kasi namin sa Nichols is an upgrade elevation because po of NAIA X. If you're familiar po with NAIA X po kasi gumanon siya eh. So gumanon po si NAIA X, so we cannot, they already occupied po yung level 2 na tinatawag. So medyo mahirap po to move further north. To move further south naman po, the concern is the distance po from Taguig Intermodal. Now sir, okay, I think po I need to go into the final point probably that I would like to share with you today, which is go to the map of the station footprint itself. Okay. We did some rethinking po kasi of the design assumptions. Ayan. Okay. This is the subway box. Just for everyone's reference po, so we're on the same page. What you see here is SLEX sa baba. Yung color brown po na linya is PNR right of way. E-service road po yung sunod. Huwag muna kayo mag-wild na. And yung blue box po is the subway station. I will explain. Umpisa po tayo baba paakyat. I'll give you numbers. Again, we just discussed this po. Coming from the border of SLEX, okay, bilang po tayo ng 20, roughly 20, it's actually 21. Bilang po tayo ng 21 meters. So, galing po sa border ng SLEX, bilang ka po ng 20 meters, that is PNR right of way. Yun po yung existing PNR. Bilang ka po ng additional 15 meters, that becomes East Service Road. E-service road going up, that's already, I understand, this is not clear to me, pero yung border po ba rin, yung village na mismo yun, walang commercial line of property.
Wala po.
So, SLEX, 20 meters PNR, 15 meters e-service road, and then residential properties. Okay. Now, ang current design assumption po namin is the PNR Calamba station and the subway FTI station will practically be side by side. What does that mean? The PNR Calamba station will occupy that space between SLEX and the blue box, roughly. So parang nandito po yung PNR Calamba station, yung subway station po nandito. So it's not one on top of the other. So what we are doing now is ipasok na natin yung subway station dun sa ilalim nung Calamba station. So that the blue box, we can move down. We can move towards the west. So that is what we are working on now. Now, I will give numbers, but I strongly qualify these are subject to further detailed design study. Okay, so alam naman ako eh. So, again, from SLEX, ang width po kasi, ang width na kinakailangan for the PNR Calamba Station, yung nasa taas, we need to occupy the entire 20 meters PNR right-of-way, all the way, estimate, to the 15-meter e-service road. Meaning, the existing 20 meters po ni PNR right-of-way plus 15 meters of e-service road, roughly 35, will be occupied by the PNR Calamba Station. Okay. Ngayon po, subway, don't worry about it, nandun siya sa ilalim. Kasya na siya sa ilalim. Okay. Ang problem po namin ngayon is, okay, the PNR Calamba Station brings us all the way to the border of East Service Road and the residential area doon po sa taas. So, syempre kailangan, we cannot not have East Service Road. So we need to replicate East Service Road dun po sa taas. So, in a post-construction scenario, mamaya na po yung during construction always distinguish between during construction temporary works requirements and after construction permanent works requirements. Dun po muna ako sa after construction permanent works. What we are imagining to happen now after construction is this. Bilang po ulit tayo. Let's start from the border of SLEX. Okay. PNR Calamba Station will occupy 35 meters width. So, occupy the 20 meters of PNR, occupy the 15 meters of e-service road. Plus, we need another 15 meters roughly to replicate East Service Road. Otherwise, mawalan po ng kalye dun sa lugar. So, what we are imagining, exploring po, hindi to amplify strongly. What we are exploring now is a permanent works requirement of 15 meters to the right of the edge of e-service road. That is permanent works. However, during construction, we need two things. We need to replicate East Service Road still. Kasi we cannot close this for 5 years. Okay. We still need the 15 meters plus we need space for our construction yard because we need to mobilize equipment in the area. So East Service Road is currently 15 meters. If we can reduce it, we will reduce it. We will incur temporary inconvenience lang po kasi liliit yung current po na e-service road, liliit. So if that's all right, better. Temporary lang naman diba kaysa sa laki natin. And then we need around 8 to 10 meters. Sige, 8 na natin. Basta sasagarin po namin yan. 8, sabihin na natin 10. We need 10 meters for the yard. So during construction, the temporary works area that we required, bilang po ulit tayo, let's count 35. Yung 35 mo is the 20 PNR right-of-way, the 15 e-service road, tapos patungan mo po nung 15 na diversion road, yung temporary diversion ng e-service road, plus another 10. So we're looking at around 25 po to the right of e-service road. Now, we will optimize this. Bakit po? Again, we can aggressively minimize, but based on our current evaluation, we cannot eliminate the encroachment into the residential properties po. And one of the things that we are looking at is we're looking at the parcel cuts. Because depending on the parcel cuts, if possible, let's not go beyond one row or column rather. Let's not go beyond one column of parcels. So that's what we're trying to explore now. So this one is no longer our latest footprint. This one is Calamba Station, subway station configuration. What we did was, Calamba Station, bring the subway under. Explain ko lang po sa inyo why that is difficult to do. That is difficult to do because remember po yung sinasabi kong we needled through C6. nandito po kasi yung C6 eh. After needling through C6, we have to make a rather sharp. The thing po kasi with trains is there are limits. There are limits to our curves, there are limits to our gradients. Hindi po kasi kami roller coaster. So, there are these constraints. So, coming from C6, currently po, the reason why this exists, again, this was not made without thought. The reason why this exists is because we wanted to keep a straight line. Paglabas po namin ng C6, after namin makaahon dun sa mga poste ng C6, diretso ka, ito yun. So, pinag-aaralan po namin ngayon, kasi ang instruction ko po is, do not touch the C6 interface because that took almost a year to resolve. So, we're not touching the C6 interface, but we are going to do a relatively sharp turn to the right so that we can make the station, we can transfer the station under PNR Calamba Station. So, that's what we're doing po.
USec, so again po, thank you very much. I know you're extending time. Really appreciate, yung detailed explanation. Again, I'm not an engineer. You have all the best engineers. Probably yung temporary po na additional 15 for e-service road. Baka po pwede mag-create na lang tayo ng bridge sa taas. And then yung shipyard, instead of moving again into the village, baka po pwedeng yung natapos na pong construction from the north, baka po pwede doon. Again, I think from a homeowner's perspective, I think kung temporary lang siya, you'll use my home. Gagawin mo shipyard, you use my home. Again, have we explored everything else that we can do? Yun po.
At this point po, that is our current best possible situation. Again po, we did distinguish it. The 15 meters permanent works requirement for the future e-service road and the 10 meters temporary, which will be used during construction. Yung 10 meters po na temporary, we can shift it here and there, here and there, here and there. Pero ang mahirap po would be the 15-meter future permanent east service road, which, well, as much as possible po kasi we want to replicate the existing width. But if we do, ano po, we are working on it. Ay, si ma'am po. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, name po.
Good morning, USec Batan.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Dr. Kimio from United Hills Village. So my question is, first, you are asking for another loan for that part from the original FTI station to Bicutan, which is just about 1.5 kilometers. Now, why do you have to go down? If you really dead set to go to Bicutan, why do you have to go down? And you can attain maximum speed for a high-speed train down under, because you're now approaching the terminal station, which is Bicutan. In the PNR stations, once you're approaching the terminal, you go slow. So from FTI, isn't it more logical that you just stay at grade or on the surface? And then if you are dead set to go to Bicutan, just stay on the surface. So you don't and have a transit station in the FTI. What we don't like is this TOD, this something like you build commercial space. So you encroach too much on the the United Hills Village. And also, why can't you put your new East Service Road on top of the subway?
Ma'am, ulitin ko po yung explain ko kanina, if you don't mind. Sige, ma'am. Number one po, ma'am, what we are using with our JICA and ADB facilities are multi-tranche facilities. What multi-tranche facilities mean po is the entire loan is already committed, but we draw down on a tranche basis to save po on commitment fees. So, balik tayo sa presentation. So, as I mentioned po kanina, we started po kasi ma'am with a big picture of the entire network. And so I'll comment lang po quickly on the loan and then I'll go into the design considerations po for having the subway in the PNR in this area. The entire network, ma'am, is currently fully funded. And ayan, dito na lang tayo. Huwag na tayo mag-loan. Basta ma'am yung sa loan, what I'm saying po is we're just going to the next tranche. The first tranche was signed po January of 2019. We're just moving.
What I mean, sir, is why do you have to spend so much for I think it will be another $1.5 billion.
I'll explain it, ma'am. Okay. Okay. Ma'am, okay, so there are two projects po that are relevant in this area. Okay. Project number one po is what we call the North-South Commuter Rail, also known as the PNR Clark and the PNR Calamba. So PNR Clark, ma'am, is the line that you see color green sa taas, going all the way down. It becomes color blue all the way down. Okay. Previously, ma'am, the PNR Clark and PNR Calamba project was chopped into three. It was chopped into a 38-kilometer phase 1 from Tutuban, Malolos. Originally, nung nadatnan po namin, scheduled for implementation 2014 to 2022. Pero ma'am, nabanggit ko rin po kanina, we have this thing po that we made in 2014. It's called our Transportation Infrastructure Roadmap for the Greater Capital Region. So this roadmap for transportation infrastructure in the GCR listed all of the transportation investments that we assume we will need for the next 30 or 40 years po, yung assumption ng transport roadmap. Now, one of the decisions po that we made, Project 1 po muna, mamaya po yung Project 2. One of the decisions that we made for Project 1, pagsabay-sabayin na natin yan. Let's do the 38 kilometers together with the 53 kilometers going to Clark Airport and the other 56 kilometers down to Calamba. So right now, as it stands, the North-South Commuter Railway System project, PNR Clark Phase 1, PNR Clark Phase 2, and PNR Calamba is a single integrated system. What does that mean? That means po, 148 kilometers, 37 stations, 3 regions, Region 3, Region 4A, and NCR, 22 local governments. You can ride a train in Clark Airport, get off PNR Calamba. So wala pong transfer. So that's project number 1. Project number 2 po is the subway. The subway po, in our transport roadmap, if you look at the project name of the subway, it's the Metro Manila Subway Project Phase 1. Why is it called Phase 1? Because if you look at our transport roadmap po, Phase 2 will be a further extension of the subway to the north in Bulacan. So that's the red line po. Hindi po yung red line sa kanan. Yung red line sa kanan is MRT7. Yung red line po sa gitna, sa taas. That is the subway. That will be extended further to the north. And dito po sa baba, that will be extended further to the south into Cavite, into Dasmariñas. Now, why are we doing that? Okay. I mentioned po kanina, if you notice ma'am, the geographical configuration of our capital, we have these two things to notice. We are bounded by Manila Bay to the left. And we are bounded by Laguna Bay and the mountain ranges of Antipolo to the right. Why do I say that? Because that geographical configuration constrains us to plan on a north-south basis. And the entire transport roadmap, at least for rail po, we are trying to build 3 mass transit north-south corridors through our capital. Those 3 are, yung sa kaliwa, ma'am, you see the yellow, that is LRT1, which we are extending to Cavite. We started this in Bingo, and which we are further extending down to Dasmariñas, and there are thoughts to extend it to Tagaytay actually. So that's the line to the left. The 2 additional corridors, I call it, I'm sorry for reiterating myself. I call it the line to the left, the line in the middle, and the line to the right. Kasi ma'am, if you notice, yellow po yung nasa kaliwa. Yun pong north-south commuter rail natin, will start from upper left, but it will end up in lower right. Yung subway po natin will start from upper right, but phase 2 will eventually lead it to not lower left, but middle. So you imagine, ma'am, you have line 1, you have the subway, and then you have the NSCR. So those are 2 projects. Project number 3, ma'am. Isa po kasi doon sa mga nadatna namin na projects is yung concept po natin ng provincial intermodal exchanges. You might have heard about this po, yung Paranaque intermodal exchange along Coastal. We also have the Taguig intermodal exchange, formerly called the South ITS, if you may have read. Iniba po kasi namin yung pangalan. Sabi namin, bakit South, Southwest? Just call it where it is para mas madali yung geographic identification. So Taguig ITX po. Yung Taguig ITX is located dyan po sa may C6. So near the C6 SLEX intersection. And what we wanted to do, ma'am, was we wanted to make sure that both the subway and the North-South commuter rail projects are connected to that bus intermodal. So actually, ma'am, malabo lang dito. But that already says Taguig Common Station. We will rename the entire TITX, Subway FTI Station, and NSCR, or South Commuter Rail FTI Station, into the Taguig Common Station. We're doing the same thing. Ma'am, last point po. Okay. There's another configuration po kasi that is very important to know. Yung concept po natin ng operational interoperability of riding a train in Clark all the way to riding a train in Calamba, that exists po not just within the North-South commuter rail, that also exists between the North-South commuter rail and the subway. Meaning po, ma'am, you can ride the subway train coming up from Quezon City in the north. Same subway train brings you emerge from underground, you connect with PNR Calamba, the southern section of NSCR, and you end up po in Calamba already. So those are the design considerations for that.
Well said, you said. But my question still isn't answered. My question is, why do you have to build another subway train underneath the UHV, you know, the one in front of UHV, all the way to Bicutan, when you cannot attain speed, the speed of a high-speed train, because you're now approaching your terminal. You're not going in a gradient to surface. So why can't you? Because I know you now have this extension to all the way to Calamba. So why can't you just go on a gradient, probably from somewhere libingan ng mga bayani, then come out at the FTI, have a transit, a small transit station, a ticketing station, and then stay at grade or on the surface from FTI to Bicutan, because that's just about a few meters distance. It's very impractical for 2 stations which are just about 400 meters away, you know, spend another $1.5 billion, because when you're approaching a terminal, your tendency is to slow down. So I think it's more practical that you don't dig under the ground, especially because, do you have a soil profile for this? For the UHV, you know, the one in front of UHV? Do you have a soil profile? Do you have a layer profile of the soil? UHV.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we have it? Do you have all the laboratory analysis?
Yes, ma'am.
So can you document it?
Yes, ma'am. Ay, ma'am, if I may answer po. Ma'am, I think po, number one, FTI station is not, when we say terminal station, we say end station. FTI station, ma'am, is not a terminal
Yes,
station.
that's why we are suggesting to make it at a small transit station. Because you're going to the terminal at Bicutan.
Ma'am, nakita niyo ba ako gumaganon kanina? Ay, okay, explain ko, ma'am. Okay. Sorry, please indulge me, okay? Ma'am, balik tayo. Ito. We hear you. That's why we're here. That's why we were there the last time that we met with our team. That's why I'm here today, because I come back to deliver the output of what we think about after we hear you. Previously, ma'am, ang configuration po natin in this area is SLEX. Kalamba Station, PNR Kalamba Station, yung sa NSCR po natin, subway station. The subway station is not under Kalamba Station. So what we are working on now po is to bring the subway station into under the Kalamba Station in order for us po to, again ma'am, I noted po kasi kanina, where that change will substantially, majority po, bring us out of UHV. But as of this time, we are still unable to fully bring it out. Pero ang laki na po. From 70 meters, we're now looking at 15 permanent, 25 temporary. So yun po yung nature ng ongoing design na re-study po namin.
What do you do with the 25 after? Post,
And we give it back ma'am.
give it back. But do you knock
Ay,
down
sorry
the
ma'am.
houses?
25 po, okay, 25, you have to make a distinction po between our temporary works requirement during construction and our permanent works requirement after construction. Ang permanent works requirement po namin after construction is only 15 meters. And the purpose of that 15 meters is the restoration of e-service road. Yung existing e-service road po kasi, kakailanganin na siyang kainin ng PNR Kalamba Station. So we need to make space for around 15 meters to the right. Pero during construction po, in addition to the 15 permanent, we need a 10 temporary for construction. Yung 10 temporary po na yun, during construction lang.
You give back the land?
The 10 po, the 10. The temporary we give back, but the permanent works will become
What
the...
about the houses on site?
Ma'am, it depends po. We're still identifying this movement of the subway station to under the PNR Kalamba Station is recent, and we're updating po the extent of which properties will be affected. Sir, last na po, please. Ma'am, dun ma'am, yung iba po, pa-share na lang po.
Yes, sir. Apo,
Okay, thank you, USec Batan. I'm encouraged with your talk, and especially looking at that station, I'm going to be hit. I'm growing gray hair every day when I heard this thing. But I'm encouraged with your talk. You are saying you need 35 meters and the 15 meters.
25.
35
25
meters.
sir. 15 plus 10.
15 plus 10.
Yung
For the station.
for the East Service Road restoration,
Yes.
you need 15, right?
Yes, sir. 15 for e-service road
15 para
restoration.
hindi nyo tamaan doon, right?
Correct, sir.
Since you are writing entirely the road network landscape,
Yes.
and for your also thing to look at, can I encourage your team to look at the Cucumber Road that goes out to Bicutan
Yeah.
and make it the new East Service Road?
Meron nun, USec.
Whether it's
Meron po nun, USec.
whether it's temporary, whether you can make that permanent actually, and you can make it temporary.
Papatayin na po natin yung e-service road here.
Opo.
Yung East Service Road, you can do the construction there.
Shortcut namin yun, USec. Yung sinasabi niya, that's our shortcut. So you just make that a road.
Yung East Service Road can be the construction there.
Temporary lang.
You can eat that entirely. Tapos,
Actually, hindi ko kaya temporary yung e-service road ngayon.
yeah. If
Bula.
if you build that East Service Road
Yung cucumber
right
niya.
now, sa Cucumber going to
Will still be 10.
that's a big road,
Shortcut namin yun, shortcut namin
Please,
yun.
ask your
Don't
team,
consider.
ask your team to
We
look
will
at it.
consider.
Kasi once this is constructed, wala nang use yung mga taga-Bicutan to ride a jeep going to FTI, wala na silang use eh. Yun lang naman ang gamit ng East Service Road niyan.
Understood. I hear you.
Yung mga taga-Bicutan can ride the subway, diba? Going to that terminal exchange. Diba? So, I would request that you look at the option of riding the entire landscape.
Wala pa lang feedback. Laki na sir. Napapagalitan ako ng boss ko. Yung budget na kailangan namin next year, baka hindi ba
Pero starting from Pame, all the way to, let's say, Cucumber Road, walang bumababa dyan na sumasakay sa Q2. Kasi ang nandyan lang is UHV 1, Makati South Hills, United 2. And then Factory na wala na lang, lupa na lang. So literally from Pame all the way to FTI, walang bumababa na jeepney riders. So kami, na tiga United, and willing kami na dumaan dun sa Cucumber Road kahit maglakad kami pababa dun sa village namin.
Understood, sir.
Sure ako dun, walang bumababa
Sir,
dun
yung
sa stretch na yun.
Cucumber Road, this is a open public road.
Cucumber is
Malapad po
open,
yan. Malapad
and then
po yan.
siguro a few meters na lang para madugtong dun sa Pake.
Siya po yung nasa gilid
If
ni
we're
Arca.
going to pursue this, we have to change our station use assumptions. Kasi I'm looking at because if this is possible, that means that all entry and exits, almost all entry and exits to our station will come from the Cucumber Zone, Cucumber Road side. We will explore.
Pero I'm sure talaga yung sa service road walang dadaan.
Understood.
Only that
Hindi ako
portion.
sinasabi niyo, sir. Na parang okay lang na patayin tong segment na to ng e-service road is what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
And then after the construction,
yes,
Ay, lahat kayo, agree kayo na pagdating ng e-service road?
yes, yes.
Hindi lang ito, sir.
USec, 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 so yung Cucumber Road, tapos po USec, in terms of yung inyo pong construction yard,
this is,
USec, and then just to, so first po yung Cucumber Road, please look at that option, and I encourage you po, please pass by that area, especially on a Sunday, para makita niyo po, maluwag po siya. Last na lang po, USec, for the ship, so we're trying to solve for the service road, no, yung temporary, this is Cucumber. Yun naman pong construction yard, I think po, instead of talking to 200 houses, na taxpayers, maybe you can just talk to one company, Arca South, hiramin niyo muna yung area nila to be, for them as part of their, community service, to help in progress. Bakit hindi po yung Arca magpahiram ng area for your temporary construction yard for 5 years? Anyway, they're one of the major companies helping in nation building. I'm sure they'll be glad to be part of this amazing project, sir.
Sir, clarify ko lang po yung construction yard. There is the big construction yard where we will have the storing, the piling, the everything. And there is the construction yard, the strip na kailangan po namin to surround our asset. Kasi kunyari ito po yung asset, you need the strip around. So yun po yung minimize po namin. But just to clarify na yung malaki pong construction yard will already be over there. Nandun na po siya. Wala na po siya dito. Yung sinasabi ko po kaninang temporary na 10 meters, yun lang po yung strip paikot po ng asset namin that we need during construction. Sir, last na po yun. So, ma'am, we will have other consultations as we move forward. Again po, I super qualified kanina that this is our general thinking pala. It's most likely going to be what we will be working on, but we need a lot of further detailed designs to implement this.
USec, thank you.
Okay, maraming salamat po.